economy will suffer as the political face-off continues. Marcus.
Yes, Standard & Poor's has come out to underline that fear. The credit rater has cut Ukraine's rating by one notch. It says it's unclear how the political turmoil will be resolved. Protests continue, meanwhile, in central Kiev. And as you've just been hearing, the Prime Minister and the Ukrainian government have resigned. S&P says there is an increased risk of Russia backing out of a $15 billion deal to help Ukraine if the turmoil doesn't end. The Ukrainian economy showed signs of recession last year, and there are warnings of further contraction looking ahead.
In general, there are indications that business activity, investment activity is getting slower because people are quite uncertain on what would come next and so on and so forth. So I believe that this political turmoil might have impact on GDP.
We're going to move on to the UK next. Last year, the British economy grew at its fastest pace since the financial crisis. To be specific, the UK economy expanded by 1.9% in comparison to 2012. The government says that that growth rate shows that its economic plan is working. Economists agree that the British recovery is gathering pace, but they also voice concerns of growing imbalances in the UK, including rapidly rising property prices. Meanwhile, the Queen and the rest of the royal household are coming under pressure to tighten belts. A parliamentary committee has found that the household's cash reserves are worryingly low, and lawmakers say it's time to get creative. Delana D'Souza has more.
Under pressure to get a little more entrepreneurial. A Public Accounts Committee report has found the Royal Reserve Fund for Emergencies is down to its last £1 million. Lawmakers in the UK are urging the royals to adopt a more commercial approach and to open up the palaces to visitors more often.
Well, I think MPs need to press the royals to give up responsibility for the palaces so tourists can go in all year. We can then get those buildings working properly and maintained properly. We also need to look at the total cost of the monarchy right across the country.
The British remain fond of their monarchy in spite of having their own belts tightened. Last year, the sovereign grant funded by taxpayers paid the Queen around £31 million. And while Buckingham Palace says it boosted its income by £5 million between 2007 and 2013, the panel report finds that 39% of royal buildings are in poor condition.
The boiler at Buckingham Palace is 60 years old. It's out of date. The bills, the electricity and gas bills are huge. It should be replaced. There's no money for it.
While the rest of the country has faced cuts in public spending and civil service layoffs, the royal household staff of over 400 has remained intact. Many say it's time for the royals to learn to do more with less.
OK, let's move on to the stock markets next. Worries over emerging markets weighed on global stock markets in the past few sessions. On Tuesday, we saw a turnaround, though, with stocks on Wall Street snapping that losing streak. Investors in the United States, they're looking ahead to the result of a two-day Federal Reserve meeting in Washington, and we're expecting that result on Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average up there 0.6% on the session. European shares, they were also higher at Tuesday's close after hitting several week lows on Monday, also on concerns of emerging markets. The FTSE 100 in London up 0.33% there on the news of the better than expected growth in the UK economy. And if we look at some individual corporate stories, German shares, they were helped as Siemens reported a 20% rise in fourth quarter profits. The German company made just under 1.5 billion euros between October and December. Siemens makes products from trains to medical equipment, and it is seen as a German bellwether. The firm also warned of challenging markets ahead during its current financial year. Shares in Apple fell 8% on Tuesday after the company's first quarter results disappointed. The electronics giant made $13 billion in the 3 months that ended on the 28th of December. It also sold a record number of iPhones and iPads. Analysts had expected even higher sales figures, though, and Apple also issued a cautious outlook for its second fiscal quarter. And last but not least, the chief executive of IKEA says there are positive signs of consumers being willing to spend more. That includes Southern Europe, which he says shows good signs of activity. It came as the flat pack giant reported a record full-year profit of 3.3 billion euros. And I floated the idea before that perhaps the Queen should go shopping at IKEA for furniture next time that she needs some, and perhaps that will cut some bills there at Buckingham Palace. Who knows? Back to you, Mark.
Not a bad call, Marcus. I hear, in fact, we got our studio from a flat pack, but there you go.
I wouldn't know about that.
Marcus Carlson with The Business, thank you very much indeed. It's time now to turn our attentions to all things online and beyond. James Creedon